Hello, my brothers and sisters. My name is Tim Heijen, and I am a dragon witch. And I've almost become 37 years old. 37 years old. When I was just awakened by the dragon, I just became 18 years old. How time flies. It goes so quick. It's like, and it's done. You are already there. Almost 20 years on the dragon's path, actively on the dragon's path, because truly, your dragon's path begins when you are born. You always love dragons, but once you know what they say about witches, once you reach through your teenage years, later on, you finally become a witch. What kind of a witch? Doesn't matter. You actually become actively on a spiritual path, not in a religious path, because religions, whatever. So once I was awakened, I was not a fan of dragons, not at all. A lot of people, you can see a lot of people with, for example, for shirts and images of dragons, and of course I understand this, but I have to withdraw myself from that once I was awakened. But later on, now I'm 37 years old, I'm just going all out, and I know actually that it shouldn't be like this. Uh, for example, maybe you have seen me with my hat. I have a new hat with a dragon on it. I would never bought that in the beginning of my path. I was always clear that I was not a fan of dragons. I was not like, hey, look at my dragon. I was not like this. And also, let me introduce you to Wang. Wang is a cliche dragon that you find in a theme park. In fact, um, there is a bit of story about this. Some months ago, I went to a theme park. I'm actually a theme park enthusiast. You wouldn't expect this from a witch, but yes, I don't like to come around with a lot of people, but I came to theme parks when it's very, very quiet. This was strategically picked what kind of a day that I went to a theme park with a lot of theme parks without waiting lines, without people, and for the most part, that worked. And I went to a theme park, one of the best actually in Europe, if not the world, Phantasialand. And the mascots were actually dragons, and one of these dragons is being called Wang. And out of nowhere, he was hugging me, like, or she felt more like a she, but in fact, it should be a he. I was like I said, I'm not a fan of dragons, but at that moment, a little heart came out. I had to buy the plush, and it was too strong for myself to withdraw myself from that. Also, in the beginning of my path, I actually wore t-shirts of dragons. Everyone should have seen the image and the beauty and the purity of dragons. Everyone should see that in through shirts or through hats. I don't care. Everyone should see the dragon. But once I see that that humans actually are not interested in dragons, I gave actually up, and there was something that felt wrong because in the beginning I wore my necklace like this, like everyone to see. But later, after a few months after my dragon's awakening, I only wear it like this because it was meant for me and not meant for them. They will not understand it. If you are outside of the dragon's path, you don't have to do trouble to explain the dragon's path to them because they will not understand it. Not at all. Even though you explain it very well, a path is a path that you already been taken. Like I said, it's already been done once you are born. Once you are born, it's already actually was meant so that you would uh, walk on this path, this specific dragon's path. So in fact, I'm not a fan of dragons. I'm not into role-play games. I'm not into fantasy. And I want to make this clear. The dragon is not fantasy for me. So I don't enjoy role-play games or whatever. And yeah, later on, of course, yeah, this images on hats or whatever. Yeah, it was actually not meant so that others could see it. I know that just the image of the dragon was still with me, very close to me. And with this, for example, this dragon plush, I sleep with it, even though I'm 37 years old. Oh, goddess. Every time when I say this, it's like, oh, you old man. Ugh. And you still didn't grow up like everyone said that should. That everyone said, when are you going to have a wife? When are you going to have a life of your own. I have a life of my own. I have my job, I have my house, but I don't need anyone in it. It's clearly that in my path it's solitary. I don't need anyone inside of my path. The only one that is inside of my life should have been dragons. And people say it's so crazy and so that people just don't seem to understand what it means for me, what the dragons actually mean for me. When people say and think about dragons, they immediately think of movies and things like this. But the thing is, I don't like movies with dragons. Not that in some dragons die, some movies dragons die, but of course also that. But I never saw the perfect version of a dragon inside of movies or books or stories, or even sometimes in the beginning of my path I read some kind of a role play games. It was like, oh, and you just met the dragon, you just saw the dragon. The dragon is an enigma, the dragon is specific, the dragon is to understand. They are nothing like humans, nothing at all. So I sometimes forgot actually what it was in the first years of my awakening. It was a new world for me, and now sometimes after 19 years later, I can still feel the dragon. I still can connect with the dragon, but not as much as the first year that I connected with the dragon. And in the first year, the dragon is nothing at all like humans actually should expect from dragons. They are not pets. They cannot be used. They are beings from other sides, beings that used to be here, very, very wise, but also with a very much different character that humans actually could even understand. That in the first year that I tried to let people understand what kind of a being the dragon actually is. But now I'm wearing rings of dragons, I wear caps of dragons, I sleep with blushes of dragons like a fan does, like a dragon fan does. But now I just lay down and say I want to be surrounded by images of dragons. I don't mind anymore what people say from me, even though 37 years old, I hugged uh, a mascot of a theme park, just like these little children. But there were no children. Like I said, I visited these places when it's very quiet, and there were no children, so it was perfect. It was perfect actually, and I should have lied if I didn't enjoy the moment. I loved that moment, even though I know it's a suit with someone inside of it, but it's just the idea of the dragon letting you a hug, and that is very beautiful for a dragon witch actually. A dragon witch actually is not, like I said, they are not fans. They are not someone who just want to stick around with a cool image of a dragon. In fact, I don't like images where dragons actually spit fire on humans and with its big wars, and that is just something that I don't understand. That every time when I see an image of the dragon, it's always in a big war, it's always with some guy, it's always with good versus bad. No, what I learned from dragons is that they actually want to be left alone. They want to be very secure, and they want to be very much far away from danger. And whenever a dragon comes to you, it means that the dragon actually really, really not only trusts you, but is much more connected to you, so that they actually know who you are and that they are very safe with connecting with you. And humans would call them animalistic. I call them on a different level, very much on a different level, on wisdom and knowledge and everything that actually human is not yet. Not yet, because the dragon is always saying, give them time. Humans need time to evolve. Eventually they will become there. I am much more pessimistic than my dragons are. But in the beginning of my path, of course, I was not a fan. I just wanted to understand it all. What is going on? This is a real phenomena. And I said it to myself, am I going crazy? But in fact, it's not. It's a real phenomenon. A dragon awakening is very much real. And it happens to just a few of us. But we cannot explain this to other people. We are not trying to make this a religion so that people say immediately that it will be a global understanding, so that they will understand eventually what the rules are, or what cannot be done. No, here we create our own rules, our own steps that we take on this path, together alongside with the wisdom of the dragon. And the wisdom of the dragon is for everyone different, because every dragon is different. Just like humans are, just like everyone is. Everyone has their own unique character. With dragons, it's just the same thing. But yeah, I sleep with dragons. I have camps of dragons. As a 37 years old man, I will never grow up. In fact, I'm not at all like most humans are. Humans most of the time want to, you are growing up, being an adult. I, of course, like I said, I have a job, I have a house, I need all of these things to survive. But in fact, inside of myself, I always follow the example of dragons. Dragons, in fact, my brothers and sisters, what are dragons? They are the great example for every living being. That is how I describe it. I describe them as pure, as magic, but not in a magic as Harry Potter, more like magic in opening gates, manipulation of dreams and visions, and also feelings that they want to be involved inside of your life. And that is eventually what the dragon is. They are very much involved inside of my life, and humans just don't seem to understand what kind of a life that is. But you don't need to prove anything to humans. You don't need to prove to the people on your surroundings what your life is going to be with the dragon. You don't need that. You don't need to show them this. You don't need to show them any of that, even though it's just to have the images of the dragon surrounding me. But you don't need that. I just don't want them to see it. I want to feel it. I want to feel it close to my heart. And that is what makes me not a fan, but a follower of the dragon. Or how I call myself, a dragon witch.